All right, losers and lobster claws, let's go to heaven, shall we? Yeah, let's go to heaven. Presumably, like that's because that's where Charlie is going, and because of the title of the episode is "Welcome to Heaven." Let's go to heaven in Hazbin Hotel and see what's up with up there. And I'm curious about this because like the interaction with heaven and angels so far has been biggest sexist in the underworld, Adam, just a real piece of shit, and a genocide army, which, you know, it's a hell of a first impression. So for a prediction, I would say that heaven presumably presents itself as wonderful and kind and that's heaven, welcome to heaven with the golden light and everyone is happy here, la la. And then there's gonna be like it's gonna, as Charlie begins to actually demand that something or other change, is when either the teeth come out and they become like brutal and cruel or mocking or whatever, or else it's going to be like a horrifying bureaucracy, right? It's going to be a thing of like, oh, well, you need to talk to the other guy to do the thing, and then like fill out 5 billion forms, and then maybe we'll, like in 10,000 years, we'll process your application to do, like, there's going to, it's, and the reason why I'm predicting one of two things is it sort of depends on, because Hazbin Hotel, the hotel itself, like the thing that is the title of the show, is challenging the shape of the system, right? Like the system as it's been set up, the way that Adam sort of describes it, and is, we have this system which is an immutable cycle, right? Like sinners go to hell, and then heaven shows up and like purges, you know, however many hundreds of thousands of souls, or millions of souls even, from hell, so that it's not too full of sinners that could present some kind of threat to heaven, and so the cycle continues. Like, and that's an ossified, like conservative hierarchical system, right? Like it's like heaven is on top, hell is below, and never that power balance shall be disturbed. Hell shall never make demands of heaven, right? Like that's sort of the idea, is that hell is forever, fuck you, die again without making a fuss about it. That's like this powerful hierarchical conservative fundamentally system, right? And so when Charlie shows up to challenge that, like to say, hey, what if a better world was possible? Actually, there's sort of generally one of two responses, right? There's the obstructionist response, which is to say, well, that sure sounds like you have a good idea there, sport. Here's a 100 million hoops you have to jump through, and then once you've jumped through those hoops, we're going to look at it and we're going to say, well, we've assessed the cost-benefit analysis of the thing, and we've just decided that there just aren't enough resources to do that, right? Like maybe next year, maybe in 2,000 years, but not right now, right? Like either this sort of benign, sort of seemingly well-intentioned obstructionist response of like, sure, maybe that's a good idea eventually at some point, but not right now, not for the next 10,000 years, not for like where you kick the can down the road. Or it's that thing of like, how fucking dare you make demands? Like, who do you think you are? What the fuck are you doing? You don't have the right to upset this system. This system is perfect just the way it is, and you're creating the problem. You're making the problem exist by talking about it. So you need to be quiet, and then the problem will be solved, and we don't have to think about it anymore. It's your fault that this problem exists now, right? And that second response is the one that tends to get violent. So how much violence are they going to respond with when Charlie upsets the apple cart, as it were? Anyway, I should explain to you, if you haven't been along to one of these watch-along reaction things before, the way it works is there's a timer in the top left corner of the screen. It usually tells you where I am in the episode. Usually didn't last time because the video file that I get where I am did not have the content warnings on the front of it that you get in other territories, and that blew everything out of sync by like 5 seconds or so, which was quite annoying. But normally, the timer will tell you where I am in the episode, and you're going to have your own file, and we're going to start playing at the same time. I'm going to give you a countdown, and we're going to watch together, and I'm going to do my little commentary while the thing is going. And then every once in a while, I'm going to have something more to say. I'm going to be like, oh shit, I need to talk about that thing, so I'll say 3, 2, 1, pause. And then I'll pause, and you'll get this, like a screenshot of whatever I happen to be looking at the time. Sometimes I'll scrabble around a little bit to sort of find, oh, I need to talk about this thing, I need to talk about that thing, I need to talk about this thing. And once I'm done talking, we will use the timer and the screenshot once again to sync up with where I am. And then I'll give you a countdown, 3, 2, 1, go, and we'll keep watching it together. That's how this thing works, right? Is that all right by you? Is that okay by you? Does that work for you? Are you okay with that? Are you sitting comfortably? Do you have a snack? Do you have a friend giving you a foot massage right now? If you don't, that's a tragedy, and you should really lodge a complaint with someone. But, until you get that sorted, you can just wait to watch. Like, go get a friend who can give you a foot massage, then come back, right? So you can get the full... I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. 3, 2, 1, play. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Flak check. I like the pride sticker on her guitar. Vaggie, you should maybe tell her why you can't go. Why you don't want to go. Why you're terrified of going. Oh, hey, it's her. Three, two, one, pause. Okay, I'm gonna need to go back to 206 or so. There we go. So Cherry Bomb, she looks different. Still British accent. Okay. So I'm trying. Is it a fuse? Like, is that the idea of what's happening here? Is that like the long hair strand there's a fuse and that's like burning? Because that seems to be the idea, and that's like, as a design for a character called Cherry Bomb, that's quite cute. Also interesting, like, she was kind of a nothing in the not the teaser, the pilot. She was kind of a nothing in the pilot, right? Like, where it's like Angel she's there, she's fighting some guys because of territory and everything. Like, there's not really any sense of who she is or what she wants or what her relevance is or why we should care about her as a character in the story, because it's just sort of an out of context thing where she's throwing some bombs around, shouting some things that she never really shows up or matters again. Interesting to introduce her like substantially later into the thing here, like after we've sort of clarified what the relationship with Angel and Valentino, how bad it is, and the lengths that Valentino goes to keep Angel separate from any kind of support network. So, okay, so now she shows up. She's clearly his friend. And so now, because we have some context for who Angel is and how he relates to people, now we have something, okay, like how does Cherry, like that? I find that a much more interesting way to introduce her, because the context of Angel, knowing who Angel is, what his issues are, like what's going on with him, gives us like something to go off of when it comes to evaluating Cherry Bomb as a character. In the same way that Mimsy being introduced and, oh shit, she knows something about Alastor, like that creates interest for her characters. And like having Cherry Bomb introduced now, oh, so Cherry Bomb is like a friend of Angel's, someone who's known him for a long time and who maybe understands his situation. And okay, so is she an enabler, right? Like, is she just someone who enables his self-destruction, or is she like someone who actually, is there for him and helps him and like is part of his support network, or like I don't know yet. Like, who knows? She's a Cherry Bomb, so I don't know that, like, self-destruction seems like it would thematically be right up her alley. But the context of Angel makes her a lot more interesting to look at, especially given that, again, Cherry Bomb, she's dressed in a sort of punk fashion thing that she's got going on. one assumes she has to do with destruction, like acting out violent urges and impulses, which, is that self-destruction for Angel? Well, no, because in the loser baby scene, like the climactic fight with the goons where they just fucking kill everyone is an emotional catharsis for Angel at the end of a really shitty night. So, interesting. I just wanted to point out, this is a much better way to introduce that character than just having it be some random street fight that's happening without any real context for why that's relevant to who the characters are or what the characters want. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. Nifty is gonna have fun. Did she forget her luggage? How many do you have, Serpentius? Yes. Okay. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, I was hoping we'd get back to the gate with the shot by the time I said pause, but okay, I'm gonna have to scroll backwards a little bit. So, the imagery of heaven, right? Two things that spring to mind immediately. Well, Hazbin Hotel is a show. Like, generally, a show has a thing about eyes. Just like, boy, eyes everywhere. Like, just Serpentius is a particular, but like, eyes are a really important part of how the show defines its style, right? Like, think of like characters like Cherry Bomb and Nifty. Eyes are kind of important to them. Alastor with his like radio clock eyes thing. Someone in the comments said that the color of eyes, like when a character is heterochromic, like when they have different sclera, the color of the sclera in their eyes, that indicates something about the power relationships, about like whether or not they're in service to a demon. I think I don't really know. Like, I try to not, when I spot that something feels like a spoiler, I try not to read it too closely. But like, eyes are like a big thing, and eyes and ways of being, and this is where I sort of, like, one of my criticisms of the art style and the stylistic decisions of Hazbin Hotel is that I don't ever really know how much to read into a particular design trait, right? Does Hazbin Hotel have a thing about eyes because it specifically wants us to think about like ways of seeing, ways of perception, like the concept of surveillance, of being observed, of being looked at? Or is it just because that's like an aesthetic fixation of the show's creator? Because given that I know that a lot of the characters are her old OCs, and the fact that like lots of eyes everywhere looking at things is like classic sort of creepy horror, sort of slightly edgy imagery, it's like, okay, how much am I supposed to read into it? And my point of all of this that I'm trying to sort of meander my way towards is that Heaven's iconography immediately is full of eyes, right? Which, to me, if we are assuming that the eyes are semiotically relevant to the themes of the story, that the meaning of the concept of eyes as a whole is relevant, that's like, okay, heaven is watching, right? It's also like the eye at the top of the pyramid in the dollar bill that people think, oh, Illuminati shit. Like, but like the eye of God, the eye of heaven, like the omniscience of God, like God sees all, God knows all, like you cannot hide your sins from God. All of that shit is like, that's, eyes are a good representation of that. And then, of course, you get your biblically accurate angels, which are wheels beset with eyes and so forth. But I note that that's like that's the first thing we see of heaven once we get there, is this gate with eyes, and then eyes floating above the gate with the eyes. Right? So, like, okay, so is that what we're going for? Like, heaven as a surveillance state? Heaven as this constant elf on the shelf or this panopticon whose constant observation and constant judgment is like, because that seems to be the thing of like sin, right? Like this thing of you're constantly being watched and you're constantly being judged for everything you do all the time forever, is one of the fucked up things that Hazbin Hotel sort of seems to be trying to engage with. So is that what we're entering into? The second thing, the other thing, I have many things. The second thing is gold, right? Like gold, white clouds, like big golden gates. They're actually supposed to be pearly, aren't they? Like big golden gates. Gold is, as a color, is associated with wealth, right? It's associated with wealth. It's associated with glory. It's associated with power. I don't know that there is in theology a particular fixation with gold as a signifier of divinity or God, for that matter. Like, I don't know that, like, this is something I generally don't know. Like, I don't know if there's any part of, like, biblical tradition, or like even back in the Old Testament, or the Torah, or the Hebrew Bible, that specifically associates gold with God and with heaven. But it's an association that exists very much in our pop culture. And I've always found that interesting, because like it used to be, like I know in art history, when you get the icons of the saints, for example, the halos of like heavenly light that exist behind the heads of saints and like figures like Jesus and Mary and so on, they would usually be done with gold, like with gold leaf, with golden colors of various kinds, just for the material purpose of like gold was associated with wealth and glory, and it was visually striking, and it had it like gold, unlike most paints, could actually glow and reflect light and seem to shine in a way that like, oh yeah, that's what like the golden light of a halo, that's what that should be. It should be like kind of glorious in that sense. And so like this association with gold as this signifier of purity is interesting, because it's also an association with wealth, right? And there's this parallel thing that happens with gold as this signifier of heaven, of angels, of God, but then also of like wealth and riches and shit like that, which is the question I'm sort of working myself towards. Are we doing a fucking class thing here? Because I have to suspect that we kind of are, because the way that hell is constructed is that it's essentially like a slum town. It's the wrong side of the tracks, right? It's this rundown sort of urban environment that's full of like, oh, shady street corners and people like drunk on the street, and like, oh, there's drugs and urban blight and stuff. Like all of those tropes are sort of present there, that hell is this urban city environment. And then are we going to get heaven essentially as a gated community? Like, is that like with the gate around the thing and the whole, and like full of signifiers of sort of genteel, waspy wealth, as opposed to like the coding of hell as a much more urban, as a much poorer environment, an environment with more working class people in it. How much, like, this is just me posing questions, like, Jesus Christ, it's 18 minutes and we're barely 3 minutes into the episode. This is just me posing questions before they're obviously going to be answered in just a second. But yeah, this is the stuff that goes through my head when I'm watching this on my own. I would also pause and I'd sit for like 5 minutes and go, oh, so is that, are we doing like that's just why I have so much trouble fucking watching shows. I can't just sit and let them play. I have to fucking discourse about them to myself. But now I'm doing it to you, which is better. I don't know. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Oh. Three, 2, 1, pause. Okay, so okay, I'm just gonna scroll back a little bit. Is this Peter? Like, usually we see that it's Saint Peter who guards the pearly gates, but Saint Peter is not an angel. So presumably it's not. But boy howdy, the pale skin, the blonde hair, the carefully coiffed frisure, the carefully coiffed hair. Yeah, I'm getting genteel waspy gated community immediately. I'm getting well-meaning liberal who's a huge piece of shit but too polite to be it openly. That's instantly coming across here with the fucking, oh boy, that guy just looks like not unpleasant in a way that he would be mean to you, but unpleasant in the way that you feel like you interact with a person like that and you just kind of feel like you need to break something in half with your teeth, right? In that way. 3, 2, 1, unpause. It is St. Peter. Okay. Oh, hello. No, 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, first of all, cool character designs. Second of all, hang on. Hold on. Those were furries not 5 seconds ago. There we go. Okay. Okay, so, okay. Well, I mean, I was saying that thing about eyes, wasn't I? Yeah. So those are present in the design of these two. How many times am I going to have to fucking pause? So those are immediately present. We've got eyes. We've got lots of eyes. We've got eyes for days. And I guess this would be their fully angelic forms, their seraphic forms, or whatever the case may be. Is she a... Oh, God, this is where... So angel lore is a thing, right? Because this is where I need to mind my mouth a little bit, because it's not my area of expertise, but a lot of what we think of nowadays as angel lore and biblically accurate angels and shit like that, that's not really biblically accurate, because a lot of that comes from Judaism. It comes from the Torah. It comes from like Jewish traditions of theology, of understandings of like the throne of God and its subordinates, like attendants and things like that. Whereas, like, if you look into the Christian tradition of depicting angels, it is just like people, but they happen to have some wings, right? Like, they tend to go for the anthropomorphic angel, without the sort of strangeness and weirdness that we sort of think of when we think of the concept of the biblically accurate angel. That's not really Christian, in the sense of, like, you won't fucking hear that preached by the Catholics. Like, the Pope won't tell you about won't endorse that particular perspective on what angels are and what they can do and what their function and purpose is. And that's that thing again of, like, which Christianity is Hazbin Hotel presenting? Well, not really any specific Christianity, but rather Christianity is mediated through, like, the lens of pop culture. How the fuck did I get to this bit? Right, it's because I know a little bit about the different classifications of angels. Like, seraphim are the ones we often think about as, like, oh, like the pinnacle of what an angel is. A seraphim with 6 wings, one of which covers their eyes, one of which covers their feet, and then one of which they actually use to fly around, or covers their face with one pair of wings. Then there's the cherubim, which I think, with the 6 wings coming out of the head, this one is supposed to... People can correct me in the comments. I don't know enough, but my point is, it seems to me that we're representing, like, different representations of angels from a certain kind of angel lore that has been absorbed into a pop cultural understanding of what angels are in heaven, and thus so on. Right, that was much longer digression than it needed to be. The other thing is she's wearing a crown. That was the other thing I immediately noticed, that she's wearing a crown. Which is the thing, like, Lucifer has a crown on his head, but Charlie doesn't. And Charlie very much does not seem to want to rule over anyone. Now, it's still... This is where I think she's an interesting character because of the privilege that she has, is that she doesn't want to be a ruler over anyone, but she is still meddling in everyone's lives. Being a bit of a busybody trying to change the world, which is, like, that's the behavior of a leader or a sovereign, but she's not doing it in like the way of a sovereign, which is, you must do what I say because of who I am, because I am, like, ontologically better than you are, because I am a sovereign. So it's notable to me that this angel here. Let's see what changes when they transform. Okay, yeah, so no more wings out of the head. And a lot of the eyes... Okay, so that's the other thing. When they transform, so many of the eyes disappear. Which again sort of implies that their true form is one of surveillance, one of looking, one of constant observance. But when they're not, like, yeah, we can pretend like we're not keeping you under constant surveillance. We can put a nice face on it. Might be the point of those transformations. But crown. This is the crown of a sovereign. And that seems to be the implication of all the Halos, is that by being holy, they are sovereign over you, right? Like, insofar as heaven is presented as this, like, if we're talking about heaven is this hierarchical structure that oppresses downwards, one would imagine that, like, the state of being holy then would be assumed to be a right to rule over all those who are lesser, all those who are sinners, which is what heaven does when it's like, yeah, we can just wipe them out. Just do some genocide of hell, just because of, fuck it, whatever. They are ours to do with as we please. They're sinners. They have no rights. They have, like, their lives have no meaning, their autonomy and their personhood has no meaning. We own them, right? We are sovereign over them. Which, okay. Interesting character designs immediately. Right. Because I got distracted immediately upon seeing them, I'm just gonna go back to 4 minutes exactly. Because that's a nice, easy point to progress from. 4 minutes exactly, I said. 4 minutes exactly, I said. There we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, is she a bit of a Charlie analog in heaven? Oh, okay. There's a furry in the background. There's several. Oh, there's many furries. Okay, so it's not a suburban gated community. It's still urban. Heaven is a happy day, right? Happy day in hell. I get it. That was a short song, but okay. Hey, Adam. Oh, this is his assistant, right? Oh, I see. Oh, fuck you, bitch. 3, 2, 1, pause. Ooh, that's a self-report of a sentence to say. Oh my god. Lady, I would never have agreed to your yearly activities if I thought it would bring trouble to our doorstep. Oh no, yeah, like, go. You can go do genocide somewhere else, but like so long as the violence doesn't return to the Imperial core, it'll be fine. That was the only reason. It's like that was the one thing that was keeping you from. That was the one thing. That was like it. That was like, the one thing that was keeping you from doing a fucking genocide is like, well, you know, maybe it'll be inconvenient. Fuck you. Holy shit. Go to hell. Like, violence will return to the Imperial core. You can fucking rest assured of that. Oh my god. That's just that is some fucking delicious whew, hypocrisy right there. Oh, go to hell. Like, no, well, yeah, no, actually, go to hell. You deserve to be there. You have made yourself quite deserving of a presence there. That was it. That was the only reason. Is like, oh, so long as so okay, not a gated community, but it certainly has a gated. It certainly reveals a gated community mentality, right? Like that, the troubles are out there, and we're gonna build a big wall around where we are, and then we're going to export all of our troubles to elsewhere, right? In the sense, we send all the sinners to hell, they go to hell, they can't trouble us anymore, and then we don't have to give a shit what happens. If they die, yeah, fuck it, they die, they suffer, they get genocide a little bit every year. Not our problem. We have exported the problem to elsewhere. It has been sent to the imperial periphery, where it can cause no damage to the people who actually matter, which is us inside of here, inside of the walls. Our perfect little world. Like, never mind the foundations that it's built upon. Ah. Fuck you. That was just like, ooh, it's such a fucking, like, because that's a sentiment you'll see in real life. You will see that from like power holders and politicians in real life very happily saying expressing exactly that fucking sentiment of like, yeah, no, the bad things are bad, but so long as they're bad for someone else, then, yeah, maybe we can make them worse, actually. That's fine. It's okay if we make them worse, so long as they're worse for someone else. Oh, I want her to die now and go to hell. I want her to go to hell. I want her to be in hell, live in hell, stay in hell forever. Also, I wonder how Adam is going to talk to her, because so far he hasn't quite displayed the same rampant levels of misogyny and sexism towards her that he did towards Charlie. But, that could change. Who knows how favored God's first son is? Fail son. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Oh, guess who? My top girls, huh? Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's how she lost the eye. Okay. Eyes. Oh, hey, homophobia. Lovely. Fuck you, Adam. Oh dear. Okay. Charlie, your expressions, huh? Okay. No! Oh my god, Charlie, no. 3, 2, 1, pause. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Charlie. I have to go. They're right. They're right. You cannot cite the dictionary. That's not allowed. You can't do that. I'm sorry. You can't do that. You made me side with the fucking angel pricks. No, you can't do that. Once again, design, visual design, hierarchy, right? Who is placed above others? Like, who sits on top of the pile here? And the answer is, well, look at that. Look who happens to be up top. And look who happens to also be above Charlie, right? So, like, the structure of the scene itself, like, just the layout of the environment is already reinforcing who holds the power here, who has the authority, who has all of the anything. And it's sort of like, we are not arguing, we're not discussing, we are not interacting on equal grounds, even remotely, even a little bit. And like, it mirrors the structure of a real courtroom where, yes, the judge is also elevated above everyone else, because that too is like an arena of absolute authority, right? But it also demonstrates the iniquity, right? That is inherent to the situation. Interesting. Okay. She has such a I don't remember what her name is, but she has such a fucking classic bad guy design. Like, it's little, again, it's this thing about the character design of the show. It's like, you see that character and you're not like, oh yeah, that's one of the good guys. Like, never in a million years do you go, oh yeah, no, that's one of the heroes. That's one of, yeah, she seems nice. She seems trustworthy. Yeah, sure, we can hang out. I'll tell her secrets. No, absolutely. Well, I mean, you know, unless you're into that, but as a narrative device, right? Anyway, fucking hate that guy. Don't cite the dictionary. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Seraphine, by the way, using Adam to keep her own hands clean. Very imperial. They're not wrong. Oh no, Charlie. Fuck you. Good question. Is he gonna go Webster's dictionary? No, because he's out killing. Oh boy. 3, 2, 1, pause. Oh dear. Yeah, this is gonna go quite wrong very fast, isn't it? But we're raising the question finally. What does it take to get into like, what the fuck is sin? What the fuck is redemption? What is virtue, even? Does someone have an answer? Adam clearly didn't. Like, he's just like, well, I didn't really do anything. He was just born, and then he went to heaven because he was the first human, I guess, and he was able to pawn off all of the sin onto Eve. Where is Eve, by the way? It's like, this is one thing about Christian theology that, or again, certain interpretations and versions of Christian theology is like the thing of like, oh no, yeah, the original sin lies with Eve, because she's the one who was tempted by the serpent, and she's the one who led Adam into temptation and sin, so therefore, original sin, that originates with woman, which is like, oh, boy, go to hell. Like, it's one of the worst things about, like, certain interpretations of Christian theology. There are different interpretations of it. It's just that the sexist patriarchal ones have held sway over the world for 1,000 years. So, you know. But like he got grandfathered into heaven, quite literally, right? And it strikes me that Sarah didn't really offer an answer of any kind. Like she just sort of politely skated past that thorny question. What does it take to get into heaven? Yeah, well, don't worry about it. How do you have? Let's put you on trial first. Let's see your evidence. And I'm pausing here not so much because I had that much to say, really, so much as I'm sort of pre-cringing in anticipation of exactly how this is going to go wrong. Which again is one of the things that gives me sometimes trouble watching shows. Is like when I see where this is headed. And I'm like, oh no, oh, this could have been so easily prevented. Which it probably couldn't, but you know, it's just, I'm sort of getting I'm pre-cringing, so I don't feel miserable once the thing actually happens. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go party. A club, dear? Oh, Pensius. Precious boy. Drugs. Ooh, maybe not the thing to say. Oh, Pensius. Yeah. Yeah. People consensually enjoying themselves. Adam. Uh, oh, man. Wait, hang on. Again, Adam gets to say fucking curse as much as he fucking wants. But she says once, right? And instantly she's like being judged. Oh, the hypocrisy. Deep and desperate hypocrisy. Oh, Nifty is so good. Good boy, Angel. Oh no, you can't tell her that she's a mess because of Pensious, oh, you poor baby. Oh my god. Just negative Riz. Poor baby. For fun. Okay, I hope he doesn't get assaulted, though. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, that's not good. Run, 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 run. Oh, no. Oh, no. Fuck's sake. Yeah, no, yeah, of course it's gonna be Valentina who's the problem. Oh, boy. Hey. Good. I like that. Good. 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, I paused at the right moment there. Good. Right, so something that people in the comments have been talking about, something which I certainly also noticed, is that this show is compressed. It goes fast, right? And part of the way that it manages to go fast is by using the convention of Broadway, right? Like last episode, we saw that like Lucifer was diametrically opposed to Charlie getting involved with Heaven in any way, shape, or form, and he was definitely going to be an obstructionist, like caring but misguided father about trying to protect her from whatever Heaven is going to do to her, right? And we saw like, and that was clearly like a deep-seated pathology that sort of goes back to his own self-esteem issues, like right? But then we sing one song and then we're over it, right? And that's a Broadway thing, right? Like that's the Broadway musical trope, is like the characters have some kind of a conflict. There's some kind of distance, emotional or physical, between them in some way, and then we sing a song and then we overcome the problem, and then we are in alignment and we can move forward. It works well enough for what it is, but it does move real fucking fast. And Angel just has progressed like from being deeply, desperately terrified of Valentino and completely incapable of resisting him because he is so fucking afraid of what Valentino will do to him, to being able to stand up to him and like face the violence and like just kind of go, no, fuck you. That's not, like, you cannot control me with violence anymore, right? You can't make me scared of you in the way that you once could. And that's like, that's a very fast progression. It usually, when someone is that deep in the shit, right? It takes a bit more than a song and dance number and one guy saying, hey, I'm cool with you, you're my friend, to sort of work a person past that. And that's, again, that's a narrative weakness of the show. Same thing with episode 3, right? Like, that Carmilla shows up, is introduced, she has an emotional song, and it's like, we have known this woman for all of 30 seconds. When she gets like a big emotional song number about how important it is to her to protect her daughters from the thing, it's like, which just doesn't really land because we don't know her. Like, we don't know why we should care about her or her daughters, right? Like, on a narrative level, why should the fate of this woman and what she's got going on, why should that interest us enough that we want to sit through a song from that character to the exclusion of like whatever else could have been going on that episode? And that's the thing of like, if we'd had like an episode or two to like explore those characters, explore the relationship between mother and daughter, figure out how the hell they got into such trouble that she had to kill a fucking angel, that would probably have landed a lot better. And in the same way here, like, Angel standing up to Valentino is cathartic as fuck. It was, good boy, like, hell yeah, Angel. But also, it's the risk when it goes so fast is that the barrier feels cheap and shoddy, right? Like, when a character overcomes a problem like that immediately, the risk is that the problem they were overcoming can feel like it's being trivialized, right? Like, the risk is it can feel like the implicit argument of the show is, well, if you're in a severe abusive relationship with someone who has total social and financial control over you, hey, just need a friend to be like sing a dance song with you and be like, hey, we're losers, woo, and then you're fine. You can stand up to, and now you have reclaimed your agency. And it's like, obviously that's not what the show wants to say, right? Like, not at all. That's not at all what the show is trying to say, but it is sort of like, it runs the risk of implying that the problem is more trivial than it really is, right? That it can be overcome with a much less effort than it actually takes to overcome that kind of thing. And that's a weakness. So ostensibly, and again, I have not researched this myself. I'm going off of what I've seen people say in the comments and on social media and stuff. So ostensibly, the show was written at first to be pitched as like a 24 episode season or something like that. And Amazon was like, "We'll give you 8 episodes, you weird online internet freak viral hit thing." And then I guess the showrunners were like, "Okay, like." It's that thing of like you get offered like one season of animation in 8 episodes, and then you have to make the heartbreaking decision of like, do you split your story into segments that like preserve like this sense of pacing and scale that you wanted for your dream project, and then risk releasing one season and only ever telling half of your story with no chance of ever telling anything more? Or do you do what it seems to me that Hazbin Hotel does, is like, okay, fuck it, here comes the editing razor, we're gonna pare down everything to the absolute core, to the absolute, like, all of the fat trimmed away, and we're gonna tell the story we wanted to tell in the briefest way that it's possible to tell it, with the trade-offs that come with that, right? Like, one of the benefits is that Hazbin Hotel doesn't have any filler episodes, right? Like, it's not like there's been an episode so far, even episode 3, which, like, I agree is the least exciting of the episodes, but which was still, like, shit that happened and it still matters, right? It doesn't have any episodes. The pacing is, like, it goes fast. Like, you get to know these characters, you get into what's going on with them, you get from song to song, like, real quick, you get from major plot point to major plot point real quick. And I, for one, would have liked the show to be a little slower. Like, maybe like 16 episodes rather than 8, right? But it's a trade-off. Like, it's clearly that's a trade-off that they've had to make. And, like, the choice was between that or not. Like, running into a problem like this, where it's like, oh, that abusive relationship seemed to have been kind of resolved real quick. Like, that was a lot of trauma he all of a sudden doesn't have anymore. That's the trade-off of, like, well, it's either that or not tell that part of Angel's story, right? Like, and what's the better option? And I think the better option is to try and tell it as best you can under the circumstances that you have, and then trust that the audience is able to distinguish, like, an imperfect attempt to tell a story from an attempt to trivialize a concept. Which is the thing on social media, right, is that people sort of, there is this thing where people recognize that something is problematic, right? Like, something is problematic. For example, truncating a story about an abusive relationship into, like, a 2-episode arc like this is problematic. It has some problems with it. It has, like, there's some creative and semiotic and thematic risks you take when you do that. And then making the leap from there to the creators were attempting to do harm when they did this, or the creators were intentionally downplaying or, like, pretending that abusive relationships are no big deal when they did this, right? Like, some people, it's not a lot of people, I should say. It's never a lot of people. But some people make the leap from there is something problematic in the thing to the people who made the thing wanted to cause damage. Like, they wanted to cause harm, or the people who made the thing wholeheartedly 110% believe the worst possible interpretation of this problematic element, right? And that's another risk you run when you truncate things like this. Anyway, where the fuck did I start this tangent from? Right, this would have been stronger if there had been more time to actually explore the depths of Angel's trauma and explore the real extent of what it takes for a person to start to recover from that kind of thing, to start to gain the kind of confidence and self-esteem and self-worth that it takes to break free of that kind of abusive control. It would have been better if they had that kind of time. They didn't, and that's, it's not a situation that's easily rectifiable. Anyway, I've just been enjoying watching Valentino get hurt for a while now. Let's get back into it. 3, 2, 1, go. I like that there's condoms. Good question. Does anyone know? Does it? Maybe it fucking should be. No, she doesn't. Hierarchy. Again, that triangular composition. Oh, so that's where this is from. This has been all over TikTok as well. Yes, you are. You are senseless and pesty. You weren't supposed to say that, dipshit. Yeah, she did. No, bitch, fuck off. Yeah, it's so hard for you to kill other people. Ooh, flames in the eyes. Okay, 3, 2, 1, pause. Okay, the thing I was talking about with the compression, yeah. Also, that's a thing that's affecting the other Seraph. I forgot her name. The little one, the Charlie in Heaven analog, the expat Charlie, the distaff Charlie. Also, again, it's like this would have been a much stronger sense of betrayal and like horror on her part if we had like had some time to spend with her and Seraph and sort of like go, oh, okay, like this is why this other angel trusts so much in the great archangel that she's like, who's the authority in the thing, right? It would also be possible, like, to like we get this thing from Seraph. It's like, oh, I only did to protect heaven from what exactly, right? From like what's the threat to heaven, right? We never get to see it. It doesn't really matter because like what she's protecting is just comfort. But it is the thing, like, she would have had stronger villain motivations if, again, we'd had a little bit of time to spend in heaven to see, like, what is it that she thinks is being threatened, right? Like, what is the peril she thinks that comes from too many souls being in hell, right? But we kind of have, like, we go to Heaven Court, and then, like, Angel behaves nicely for one night, and then the whole system of like heavenly justice collapses before our eyes. Again, it's that thing of like, if a barrier is too easy to overcome, it risks being trivialized, right? Or at least narratively it becomes trivialized because, well, clearly we didn't have to spend that much time or effort overcoming this barrier. And so like Charlie immediately being able to suss this out, again, it weakens the thing. Like, if this needed to be like a several episode arc where the characters like really have to get into it with each other, like really have to bounce their ideals and beliefs, like it really did need to be that. And but it's like, it's also a thing of like, the problem here is that there isn't more, which is a good problem to have, right? Like, the problem isn't that what is there is bad exactly, because like that's the drum I've been hammering the whole fucking time. Does anyone know what virtue is? Does anyone know what sin is? And it turns out, no, nobody does. And again, I feel like that reveal would have landed a little bit harder if it had had more time, like, for the... Like, if instead of Adam writes 3 things down on a list, and then, oh, he passed those 3, and then, oh, okay, well, then I guess sin isn't real. And the other angel just immediately accepts that. If there had been more of, like, a process of... Like, if Adam had written down his list and then like Angel Dust had passed it, and then like Seraph had been no, there's also more requirements and these requirements and those requirements, and you have to do these things and those things. Like, if she'd pulled out like the whole fucking Bible to find all of the commandments, right? And say, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt have no other god before God. Like, and like we'd had to go through like the extended process of the other angel realizing progressively more and more that we're just moving the goalpost all the time. What the fuck's going on here? That would have been better if there had been more. It really does suck something out of the sails of this that it has to go so fucking fast. Yeah, that would probably be like my major criticism, which makes me all the gladder that Angel Dust got like a whole episode to himself. Because, like, boy, imagine if they tried to resolve that one as a B plot, right? It's like, oh yeah, this is like a minor thing that happens in one episode. Imagine if they'd had to try and compress it down that hard. So, like, good on them that they made the choice that Angel Dust gets to be like the full star of a whole episode, which they also kind of needed to, because now in this episode he's being deployed as the soul that has been saved, right? Or the soul that has proven that growth is possible, that it's possible to, like, for things to become better than they were. So he didn't need, like, it was probably like, you couldn't possibly not have given him a whole episode to himself. But yeah, no, oof. The compression is rough on this. It's really rough. Because you can see the outline of everything that needed, all of the padding that needs to go between these big moments, right? You can see the outline of all of that padding. And you can sort of, in your head, you can compensate. In your head, you can go, okay, well, we can, if we just assume that this and that and that and that sort of happened in the compressed time scale of what's going. Yeah, it makes like the broad beats of the story work. They just are missing so much of the scaffolding that makes the building, solid, right? It's a pretty building that they've built here, but it's a little rickety because it doesn't have that foundation that comes from having the padding going through the actual emotional motions of moving a character from one place to another. Yeah. It does leave a little... Again, it doesn't turn me off the show, but it certainly does make me go... Right? It's one of those painful... It's one of those, oh yeah, the show is great, but... Right? It's one of those buts that you'll have to append to a recommendation. Which, too bad. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Also, three, two, one, pause. Again, this reveal, trying to squeeze that one in alongside the rest of because this is a great, again, the structure of the thing is like, you can see how these beats would work together so well, is that the sense of betrayal with Vaggie, the breaking of that relationship with where Vaggie has been so much Charlie's pillar, right? That needed more time. Boy, did that need more time. Like, we needed more time, exploring. For example, Charlie should maybe have had some time to express any kind of hatred of angels, any kind of disdain towards them, any kind of unwillingness to see them as people, or unwillingness to extend her solidarity and her compassion to them. At some point, there should have been a song where she says, how could these fucking monsters come down here and kill all the time? What's wrong with them? Why are they like this? Do they not have hearts? She should have had some kind of thing where it is expressed that for Charlie, angels occupy some kind of monster position in her mind, right? But she hasn't. In fact, Charlie's constant expression has been this assumption that, well, heaven, they're probably doing what's best for them, but we can change things, right? The system is bad, but we can change things, and no one in the system is to blame. She was even extending a lot of grace to Adam, who's an irredeemable piece of shit, clearly. So this just doesn't hit the way, you can see why it would hit if there had been more build up to actually make the betrayal meaningful, because right now, with the character of Charlie as I know her, my assumption would be oh, she's an angel. Yeah, okay. Everyone deserves a second chance. Why would that change anything for her? Because we haven't seen her express that angels are the exception to her rule, that everyone deserves a second chance. She's never said that. But again, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe they're undercutting it with comedy, that they're revealing that she's an angel instrument, and Charlie's just going to be yeah, sure, I knew. Who cares? Doesn't matter. Everyone deserves a second chance. Please do that. Please do that, actually. Please undercut it. Please just kick Adam in the balls with it and completely refuse to give in to the... Because that's the thing about Vaggie, right? Is that she hates herself a lot. Right? She knows what she did, and she knows that it was wrong, and she hates herself for doing it. And so she assumes that if Charlie knew, she would hate her too. It would be very funny if Charlie was just yeah, I know. I already knew that. What are you talking about? Of course I knew that. I would like that to happen. Let's see if it does. 3, 2, 1, on pause. Oh, it doesn't. Darn. But yeah, no, he gets to stay in heaven. Ooh, the eyes. They are your people, you piece of shit. Eat shit. Eat shit. Eat shit. Eat shit. Go to hell. Die. Liar. Hypocrite. But okay, clearly the way that it's presented is that the revelation that Vaggie is an angel is a horrifying thing to Charlie. Which, again, you didn't set that up at all. You didn't have time. Well, yes, you did. Actually, no, I'll say that one is that's straight up a flaw. Like, that could have been set up. I can see some spaces in the previous episodes, compressed though they were, where that could have been dropped in. Where some of that could have been more explicitly expressed. Like, specifically as an aspect of the relationship between Charlie and Vaggie, that Vaggie is keeping this from her as a lie that she's continuously telling. Right? And that's another thing, like, Vaggie never really got to be explored before this point, is the other thing. She's very much a bit of a black box of a character, is that she's Charlie's supportive girlfriend, who's kind of militaristic and self-loathing, and we don't, like, there's never really any time given to why she feels that way. And I think there would have been room in a couple of the songs somewhere to get, like, just the implication, even just the implication that Charlie has, like, a revulsion towards angels, right? Like, that the fact that they come down there and do genocide every year, which is a valid reason to not be super jazzed about them, I'd say. The revelation that, like, that she's an exterminator would, like, because, like, yes, absolutely, it's reasonable to assume that an exterminator, someone who's been murdering souls in hell, Charlie would probably have, like, you probably have, like, some hesitation about that, but the character as we know her has never expressed any kind of particular negativity towards angels. Like, she really hasn't, right? And also, she's in hell with all of the worst sinners that have ever existed, and she's insisting that these people, like, which would include murderers and, like, child molesters and God knows what else. Presumably. One assumes it would. One hopes so. But again, who knows, actually. But people who do a lot of murder on a pretty regular basis, those people, she's like, oh yeah, second chance, fine. Like, no problem. We can, like, you deserve a chance to better yourself. I just don't buy that she wouldn't extend that same grace to Vaggie without it being set up first. Like, you have to carve out the exception. You have to take the time to have the character explicitly express, this is my one area, like, this is my red line, this is the thing I cannot bring myself to have sympathy for angels, right? Which would have been a really interesting flaw in Charlie, is that, like she insists that everyone deserves a second chance, but even she has a line, like an exception that she just cannot get herself, right, to extend grace to everyone, right? That would have been an interesting flaw, something problematic for her to wrestle with as a character. So, like, the show doing this dramatic reveal, and Charlie making a face like that, like, oh no, she's an angel. Oh, this is shattering my conception of who I thought she was as a person. It's like, I just don't buy it. It just doesn't land for me, like, at all. Because the setup wasn't done to make it land. Because I kind of had the assumption that, like, Vaggie's fears would be unfounded ultimately. That Vaggie has all of this complex self-hatred about who she used to be that she simply cannot let go of or see past. But that Charlie would be the one, like, no, why should that matter more than, like, the sins of anyone else. If I'm willing to forgive their sins, I'm willing to forgive yours, right? I already knew. Of course I knew. You were obviously an angel. You were an you were wearing their, like, Vaggie was wearing their fucking uniform. Like, since the helmet, sure, and the wings, but... So, like... Also begs the question of, like, what the fuck was the deal with the plot point with the dead angel? Why did that matter? That needs to be resolved in 2 episodes. Okay, well, I mean, we'll see. But yeah, like, I'm not saying anything anyone in the comments hasn't already been saying, which is that the compression, the short time scale of the show is by far its biggest weakness. Yeah, absolutely it is. 100% it is. Because again, like, this thing here, that these 2 characters have a conflict, why do we care about that? We've never seen them before. They've never been relevant. We've never talked to them. We've never... And this conflict between the 2 of them would hit a lot harder if we had some understanding of what it even means. I do like, though, that her, when she gets distressed, like when she becomes authoritarian, when she actually asserts authority over her friend, child, lover, I don't know what it is, that's when the eyes come out, right? Like, it's my position as the head seraphim. I am the authority. I am the one who observes. I'm the one who sees, right? Which, again... makes me wonder if the eyes are being deployed with intentionality or if they're just an aesthetic flourish. Because there's so much good, interesting stuff you could do with eyes as part of character design in this context, like surveillance, panopticon, those kinds of things. Which, again, with 2 episodes left to go, does the show have time to do those? Who knows? Banger song, though. Like, lots of movements working through it. Like, again, one thing I will say for this show is, like, not all of the songs are like, wow, like Loser Baby is like the only one that's really become an earworm for me. Poison is decent too, but they are all, like, structurally, in terms of the storytelling that they're doing, they're all very well structured to, like, to the benefit of the show. The show needs to compress all of this shit down so hard. Music and musical numbers are a great way to do that, right? Like, that's... And the songs manage the job of doing that really, really well. Not enough to make up for the problems, but it comes damn close. Like, it's about as good as it can be under the circumstances, probably. And I do think it's good that, like, again, a bit of well-observed characterization, that the moment when Adam just cannot fucking mind his mouth, when he has an opportunity to use the threat of the extermination as a thing to lord over Charlie, as a way to denigrate her, as a way to demean her, as a way to hurt her. Right? That's the thing that makes it so that he cannot fucking mind his mouth and keep the one secret that he has been asked to keep, right? It's because he sees an opportunity to use it to harm someone, just to be a petty little shithead, right? That's when he'll just throw out, like all consideration for other people is when he has a chance to get his jollies from making someone else miserable. Right, and that's well-observed characterization of Adam as a character, of that particular kind of, like, sexist, misogynist dipshit, narcissistic asshole. Like, well, I don't know that he's narcissistic, necessarily. That's a diagnosis I'm not really qualified to give, but self-obsessed, at the very least. Anyway, I wish there was more of it, is a good problem to have, but it is still a problem. Let's see how it turns out in episode 7, shall we? Bye.